Well, I think now we're ready to start. Thanks so much for being this morning with us. Isaias Chavez from SUPREMA, he will be giving us this webinar about biometric and cloud solutions. So Isaias, if you're ready to start, we can go.
Hello, Victor, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. We are SUPREMA, and we are very happy, having you here. And we want to also, thank you and thank also EPCOM to invite us. Here with us is Mr. Lover Lopez. He's also someone that works for SUPREMA. He's located in Guatemala, and he's also responsible for helping you, with your questions and all the support that you need in the Caribbean area. Lori, are you there? Okay. I just want to thank you for being here. My name is Isaias Chavez. I live in Mexico. I work for SUPREMA. I'm in charge of the, let's say, the commercial part, the sales part of SUPREMA. So this is going to be a presentation that will show you what we have as a brand. You'll know a little bit about how the brand it works and all the products that we have. Well, if you have any questions, I guess there is a chat. We'll try to answer all your questions at the end. We'll try to see if there is if it's possible to enable questions. If you want to do some questions, let's see if is that possible at the end to open up the microphones, Victor? Okay, well, we'll see that. Okay, well, I want to start with this video. Hopefully you all can listen to it, and you'll see what is the basically the objective, which is the brand. There we go. Here we go. Can you look into the top side? You see stars shooting afterwards. Well, this is SUPREMA. SUPREMA is made of three main companies. Basically, one of the company is in charge of creating live scanners, e-passport readers, everything needed for the criminal ID and immigration inspection. There is another company, which is Fingerprint Solutions. It's basically the company that manufactures all the sensors that are used in the devices that we sell. And of course, we are the access control and time and attendance area. basically we create all the devices that are used essentially to open and close doors biometrically using RFID and other technologies. So the idea of this presentation is to learn all of them. Okay, so here we have a little bit of history about SUPREMA. SUPREMA started in the year 2000. It's important to see that we're about, well, actually we have already 20 years of as a company, and well, during this time so the company started by creating these devices, basically these ID devices for fingerprints, and eventually the company was migrating from just the sensors to basically create readers, and afterwards creating a software called BioStart, which eventually became the access control, time and attendance, and visitor management software that we have. So this migration has created a large amount of products and also a very strong software that will help you to to have a very interesting combination of access control, time and attendance, and biometrics. So we'll discuss about this software, and you'll know it. Okay, so the brand has a lot of awards, certifications, and also some. For instance, something very interesting is that I'm pretty sure that you know that in US we require a special reader in order to read PIV cards. In order, actually we have a reader that is certified by the FBI that is able to read this type of technology, cards issued by the US government. So in case that you have a need for this reader is available in your price list, sometimes you can get some bids, for government, US government facilities in your region. Is something that you are able to get through SUPREMA. Okay, so for starters, we will discuss specifically first, I guess, for regarding the security in biometrics. The idea of this first part of the presentation is for you to know what is happening in the security area regarding biometrics, which, as you know, well, security at these times is something very important, and is something that is changing all the time. Of course, I think you all know that well, in the past, the biometric systems they were considered as a safe way of having access. Basically, nobody thought that somebody would be able to to hack or even spoof a biometric reader. But now we have learned that there are many ways to do this. Basically, there are a lot of ways to try to to create fakes in regarding fingerprints. As you can see there, some rubber fingerprints that can be made. It's kind of easy to do it because you can find those instructions already on the web. And also, well, there is other ways to do this. So SUPREMA is doing a lot of things just to avoid having these problems and to give you a secure way of having a biometric entrance. So, for instance, talking about fingerprint detection, we have a method to to reduce the possibility or block the possibility of having a false positive using fake a reader. Basically, we use a multispectral digitation live fingerprint detection algorithm that we have, and with this, the readers are able to detect, first of all, to filter any 2D printed fingerprint, right? And also, we are able to detect with this technology, and those readers that has this LFD technology, we are able to to block any rubber fingerprint. So if you have customers that are concerned about this type of menaces, you need to be aware that we have this type of readers, this technology, and you should get one of these. We'll learn about which readers that we have has this technology regarding fingerprint. Now, talking about facial biometrics, I think you all know and maybe you've learned that recently, due to this situation of health that we are living in the world, the biometric facial the recognition, let's say, it's getting a lot of traction. Basically, it's considered a contactless biometric access solution. So what happens here? Thanks to that, we already had a couple of readers that are very strong, that has a lot of security, because basically the solutions that we have in face recognition are based in infrared light. So when you capture a face, this infrared light will help us to create additional depth information of the face, and also in conjunction of the algorithms that we have, we make the facial biometrics safer. What happens here, basically, when a face is, is digitized with this type of readers, the face is gonna be acquired using a 3D capture process. The person will have to move the head up and down and left to right a few times. That way, the face is gonna be recorded in 3D. Also, these readers are able, or they have their own source of light, fire light. So these readers can work from completely darkness until, and they can work actually in very illuminated spaces. So with this, we will get a very secure, very efficient face recognition. And also, this type of solutions will detain any possibility of a fake face. As you can see there in the right bottom part of this screen, there is an attempt of a fake face. Actually, it's basically a mask that was created by some guy that works in Hollywood, that was that went to SUPREMA Korea to do this type of test. So this person created some mask that mimics the face of actually existing persons. So actually the test went very well. Even the faces or the mask were very detailed. The readers were able to detect those. So this is very important, and it's actually very important to understand how this works and what do we need to understand regarding this type of solutions. We will discuss about something which is basically a way to measure how secure a reader is. There is something that we call FAR, which is a false acceptance rate. That basically talks about the possibility that a user A, after using a biometric reader, the biometric reader will result in a user B match. This means a false positive, right? Which is something that we don't want to happen. And this FAR is actually measured like this. And we will discuss about this, how this works. You'll see as an example that Apple devices, which is something that we all use, and it's a technology that is considered very secure. The most recent phones and devices from Apple, they have biometric ID to log into the phone. So you'll see here, there's some information about the FAR that these devices has. In this case, the Touch ID devices, they have a FAR of 1/500,000, and the Face ID has a 1/1,000,000. So what does this mean? This means that you have one possibility over 500,000 or one possibility over 1,000,000 of having a false positive. This is very important. This is the way we measure the security of a reader. So in this sense, let's talk about the readers that we have. And we have the most secure readers both in face and in fingerprint. You'll learn that the fingerprint device, the base station A2, it has a FAR of 1/100,000,000, and the face station 2, which is a face recognition, has a FAR of 1/5,000,000. So these are considered very high security readers, and basically this is a combination of a good sensor, a good algorithm, a very good CPU on the readers. And this type of readers are actually created to give you high security, right? So this is very important. Of course, this is a measurement that is made using, mathematics. It's a theory that basically all readers should have a FAR, and all readers, based on the type of hardware and algorithm that use, they will give you this number. Of course, some readers will be more secure than others. So this is something that you need to understand and you need to look after for a reader. Okay. So knowing this, we'll discuss about the readers and the devices that we have in SUPREMA. And we'll start first with something that we call distributed access control and biometric system. And we call it distributed because, as you can see here in this, in this picture, you'll notice that there is a BioStar server, which is our main platform. And also you'll notice that all the readers in this part are readers that are connected straight to the network, right, using TCP/IP. And you'll notice that these readers are considered master readers, and they also have apart from the TCP/IP port that they have, they also have an RS-485 port, which can be used to connect other readers beneath these master readers. We call it the slave readers. So this way, in order, like for instance, if you're having a double door, let's say a double reader door, for instance, getting in and going out using biometrics, you will require only one network cable, right? So because, of course, there will be one master reader and the other one will depend on this reader. So basically, with this simple action, you'll be able to reduce the amount of required Ethernet ports to the half. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, these readers, these master readers they have memory, they have a way to retain events in case there is a loss of communication with the server. Maybe these readers are behind a VPN, maybe they are in a not so stable network. At the end, they will work. And there are ways in different type of network environments to reduce the amount of errors and of course do a more stable communication. Okay, so this is a distributed system, meaning that you have many readers talking straight to the server. Okay, we'll see this video that will also talk about how the biometric readers that are face recognition works. And this is very interesting because, as I told you before, face recognition is getting a lot of importance during these pandemic days, right? So it's important to learn how they work and what you should look after for this technology. Okay, so this is the Face Station 2. This is a very robust reader, and we'll discuss some characteristic of this reader. First of all, as you saw in the video, this is a reader that can work from basically 0 illumination, 0 lux, up to 25,000 lux, which is basically outside, you know, if you have like daylight without having a straight lining from the sun. This is very important. Of course, the sun it has a very high illuminance, but as soon as you don't get a straight, light from the sun, this reader will work very well, which is basically the first thing that you need to consider in this type of solutions. Good illumination, because a good illumination will create good results in the recognition. Okay, so this reader is able to has the capacity of matching 3,000 faces per second, meaning that if you are using, we call it the one-to-n. One-to-n means that the user will only get in front of the reader. It will place the face there, and the reader will take in less than 1 second with 3,000 users. If you're using one-to-one, meaning that you're using first some other way to identify, maybe if you're using a card plus face, you'll be able to get up to 30,000 users. Okay, so this is very important. The reader is able to store up to 5 million event logs, meaning that if the reader goes offline, it has a copy of the faces inside of this memory, and it will work for a while, and it will store these event logs there. So when the server is back or the communication is restored, all the information will be sent to the server, and we won't lose any event. Actually, this is very important for this type of solutions. One of the characteristics that the SUPREMA reader has and the software that we have is that it's very stable and you don't lose events. This is something that many customers of other brands are complaining about, that for some reason there is a lot of lost transactions during the communication because there is no really a good way to ensure that the events are synchronized, and after they are synchronized, they can be deleted from the reader. Okay. Also, this reader is able to support the NFC and Bluetooth low energy technologies for doing, mobile card. So this is very important. In the future, one of the trends is to have mobile cards. So it's very important that if you get a reader to have this technology, so you can have a future-proof reader. Okay. Okay. So this is I call it the younger sister of the Face Station 2. This is the Face Lite. It's also I'm sorry, the main title there is in Spanish, but basically this is the compact facial recognition terminal. It's important. This reader is actually compact. It has the same amount of users, one-to-n, one-to-one, 3,000 in one-to-n, 30,000 in one-to-one. Also supports NFC, Bluetooth Low Energy. Also, it's able to work in various illuminance environments. The only difference, this is a lighter version of this technology, because it doesn't have like a color camera, which is not it's not needed for recognition. So you can use this reader when you need to install a lot of doors, maybe internal doors, typically doors with less amount of transactions. So basically, because it costs 60% of the price of the Face Station 2. So There are some basic differences. Basically, the type of cards that can read. This is not able to read I-class cards. The other one, PlayStation 2, there is a version that is able to read I-class cards. So there are basic differences, but basically that creates a more convenient readers, economically talking. Okay, good. Regarding the fingerprint recognition, we have the line of readers, which they have keypad and LCD. As you can see, these readers have different characteristics. They are listed here generally. You'll see the first one is the Biostation 2 reader, which is a fingerprint recognition reader that has IP65. It has it's an IP65 reader, so it can be installed outdoors. It has a screen. It has a keypad. Okay, it has PoE support, and well, we also have the Biostation A2, which is our LFD station. It's the largest station. It's the station that we saw before, that has a very low FAR, right? 1/100 million. So basically, this station, it has this live fingerprint detection algorithm, which will help you stop fake fingerprints. Okay, it's also PoE plus. It has Wi-Fi, and something important about this reader is that it's based on an Android firmware. So this is a reader that can be easily modified if you need some specific let's say function that you will need besides the ones that this reader has. It's very easy to, it's easier than the other readers to modify its firmware because it's based in Android. Okay, the third reader is the Biostation L2. This is basically an arrow reader. It has also LFD, is also for indoors. Okay, so those two in the middle are indoor readers, but well, they have very good capacity, 100,000 fingerprints. Okay, the fourth reader, it's the BioLite N2. This is an IP67 reader. Actually, this is a good option if you need to do time and attendance. Basically, you need to use a reader that has a keypad and LCD, because actually the users need to interact with this type of readers. So if you need a reader that needs to be in the outdoors with severe climate conditions, BioLite N2 is a good option for that. Also, BioLite N2, it's a reader that is certified. Actually, we have a version of this N2 reader that is the one that is certified to read the PIV cards, those cards issued by the US government. So basically, this is the reader that is certified by the FBI. So this is the one that you need to consider for your projects in US government facilities in your regions. Okay, so all of these readers, they have a dual light source and imaging. So basically, this type of readers won't allow printed fingerprints. Okay, so because we are using different angles for the light that is getting into the sensor. This way, you have a better reading of a 2D reader fingerprint will be stopped with this technology. Okay. So we have also these readers that are, let's say, more simple, because these readers are only for access control. We typically don't use these readers for time and attendance because, you are not able to interact with them. The first one is the Biometric P2. It's a narrow reader that is for indoors, okay? But we also have the Biometric W2, which is the most robust and weather-resistant reader that we have. It's an IP67 reader. It's PoE plus, and it's also IK09 certified. So it's anti-vandalic reader. This is the reader that you need to install when you will have to protect an area with a reader that goes outdoors in a, let's say an unsecure area. This IK09 certification gives a lot of robustness to this reader. So this is the one that goes in the street, let's call it that way. Okay. Good. We also have a line of readers which are XPass2. These actually outdoor compact RFID devices. They are, they are TCP/IP. They have PoE plus. They are IP67 rated and also IKOA. So this reader can also go outside. They are both resistant to temperature, climate, and also to to vandalic acts. So these are readers. This is interesting readers because these readers can give you the option to have a let's say a controllerless access control. Okay, so these are fairly new, and these readers also read the let's say they have a chip that can read NFC and also Bluetooth Low Energy. So these readers are a good candidate to do mobile credential. That we will discuss afterwards. Okay, good. So we will discuss the centralized access control and biometric systems. Okay, so many of you, if you already know SUPREMA, maybe you know that in the past, SUPREMA was considered a company that was doing access control without an access controller. So that was one of our best selling points that we used to use before. But then we realized that we need a controller, and we had to say to our customers and to our integrators, okay, remember that concept that we had, that we don't need a controller. Guess what? We need a controller, and we have a lot of reasons why SUPREMA has created a controller. Actually, we have a controller that we call the core station. Okay, we will discuss what are the selling points of this technology and why it's interesting to consider it in your projects. Okay, first of all, you'll notice that having a company that has an access control, time and attendance software, and also a good amount of readers, and also an access controller will give you a lot of flexibility in your projects. Okay, so we are giving you a total access control solution provider, including biometrics. Okay, and this is very important because if you are putting all your your bets in a brand, let's do it in a brand that has all the technology. You don't have to have two servers. You don't have to have you don't have to be working in integrating two technologies, which can be complicated, will create points of possible failures. So if you have everything integrated, it's very easy and very robust as a technology. Okay, so let's talk about the controller-based fingerprint. First of all, we have the core station. CS40 is the part number of this controller, which is very interesting. This controller is able to accommodate up to 100,000 fingerprints, okay, one-to-end, and it has the speed to analyze up to 400,000 fingerprints per second. This means that this controller is able to receive 8 biometric readers connected straight to this controller, and in this configuration is able to control 4 doors. So you can have a control for 4 doors, double readers, meaning 8 doors, and the biometric verification using one-to-end, it's going to be in 1 second or less. This is very important. It's a very robust controller. It has a, the processor that this controller has is an octa-core CPU, so it's really, really very, very powerful. Okay. Then we have a line of readers that we call the, let's say these readers are considered slave readers. So they don't have memory, they don't have a TCP/IP port, but they are able to connect to this controller and send either the fingerprint and the card information to the controller. Okay. So with this type of readers, we have a lot of advantages. First of all, many customers are worried about exposing a reader, in the outside that has fingerprints on it. Some other customers are concerned about having a reader that is also, in the exterior part of of its facilities, and also there is a network cable connected to this reader. So using this technology, this is very important. The controller is going to be inside in a safe area, secure area, sorry, and you'll be able to connect readers to this controller. And these readers will only have the power supply, and they will have also an RS-485 connection, which is basically useless for a hacker, because the RS-485 protocol of communication that we have, it's completely encrypted, so they won't be able to do many things with this. Okay, we also have another. I think you saw these readers in the previous slides. These readers are the XPass D2, right? These readers are IP67 IK08. The difference versus the XPass 2 without the D is that these XPass D2 readers are they have an RS-485 and a Wigan interface. They also have the NFC and Bluetooth interfaces, so you can use these readers are slave readers that can also read mobile cards. Okay. DM20 is the interface that we have that can talk to two Wigan readers. Basically this little interface is used to connect two readers and control one double or two single doors, and we use it to expand the capacity of the core station controller. So if you have we'll see this, but this type of interface help us a lot to to update systems that uses Wigan readers. And if a customer has a lot of Wigan readers on the facility, they want to update their system to a biometric and access control integrated system, these are good candidates to, instead of changing all the cables and the readers, you just need to change the interfaces very easily, and you'll be able to update the system without having to work a lot on the infrastructure of your AC system. Okay, we have also a little interface that we call the Secure IO2. This is basically a little interface that will give you the option of controlling one door. The first doors are controlled with the core station controller, okay? But once that you connect reader number 5 or door number 5, you can use this little interface to have a full control of the door, because it has 2 inputs and 1 output, right? So you can pair this interface with all the additional readers that you're connecting to the system in order to control the door, and also it's able to give you 2 inputs and 1 output of dry contacts, so you can use it for expansions or receiving a fire panel signal, in case you want to use the fire feature that we have, etc. Okay, we also have an interface that is called the OM120, which is basically it has actually 12 dry contact outputs, 12 relays that is basically used to control elevators. You can also control any type of things you want to control. Maybe you can connect their sirens. You can connect any type of devices that need a dry contact, basically, a relay. Okay. So with this technology, for instance, using this DM20 interface and one core station controller, you can go up to control 132 doors with 102 readers, okay, due to the expansion capacity of this controller. So if you have a customer that has a lot of readers connected to this type of technology, you'll be able to, to do an easier update of the system. And then after, you can comply with the existing, the existing technology that the customer has, you'll be able to give them the choice to have additional biometric readers. So this is good. Okay, so let's talk about what about the selling points of the core station. For instance, there is an analysis, a comparison of using 4 doors. Let's say if you need to connect 4 doors, to a controller. We have an example that if you need to control 4 doors with 4 readers, you will need 1 controller. And this will give you a BOQ of 1 core station and 4 readers. It can be expository readers, it can be Wigan readers, doesn't matter. The controller has the capacity of controlling 4 doors and controlling 4 Wigan readers. Okay, with other brands, you need to have more controllers, right? One controller may be additional interfaces, and this will give you a larger bill of materials. If you want to control 8 readers, this is possible. If you change the readers from Wigan to RS485, you are able to control with 1 controller, 4 readers, and 8 readers and 4 doors. So this is important because, you know, using another technology, you will need additional controller. Okay, you will need 1 controller and 4 interfaces. So this will help. Will result in additional, interfaces. So at the end, apart from this, the core station has the flexibility of having fingerprint readers. Yes, it can take SUPREMA fingerprint readers. It can also, receive SUPREMA card readers using RS485, which are the XPass-D2, and also they can support SUPREMA mobile credential, right? And of course, it's able to receive Wigan readers from other manufacturers. Okay, good. So talking about the flexibility, why it's flexible, why we consider this controller flexible. In other technologies, you need a controller, and basically most controllers only receive either OSDP or Wigan. This controller has a lot of features. For instance, you can control a reader straight to this controller using a Wigan, right? Wigan, of course, is a very standard way of connecting a reader. But the only thing is that the Wigan interface is able to receive only 1 reader per port. Okay, so we also have a way to connect, readers using RS485, and aside from other controllers that supports OSDP for RS485, we are able to connect many readers to the RS485 port, which is very important. In this case, we have an XPass-2 reader, which, of course, this reader is able to receive TCP/IP connections, but in this case, we're using this reader as a slave connected to this controller. But this reader also has a Wigan port. So you can use this reader as a, let's call it, slave master, okay? So it's connected to the controller, it's receiving information from the controller to the RS485 port, but also beneath this reader, you can connect a Wigan reader, okay? Because it has a Wigan interface that can be configured as input or as an output. Also, of course, as we saw before, you can connect this VM20 interface, which will give you basically a capacity of reading 2 Wigan readers, right? And you can connect up to 64 of this type of interfaces in the controller. Okay, and also this is very interesting. You can connect the biometric readers straight to this controller using RS485, and this helps you, to, of course, instead of just connecting 1 reader to each port, you can connect more readers. For instance, as I told you before, if you have the need of both isolating the controls of the door from this reader, maybe you have this reader connected to a non-secure in a non-secure area, and you want to isolate the door controls from the reader, just in case somebody tears out the reader from the wall, you can connect this SIO2 interface, which will actually can be installed in the secure area, right, nearby the by the magnet, or maybe by the lock. And of course, if somebody tears out the reader, they will only find an RS485 interface or cable, and they won't be able to short circuit the control of the door. So this is very important. And let's say that in case, let's say that a customer asks you, to install an access control that can control, let's say, 5 doors, but will give you only 1 network cable. But because that is all now happening, right? Many customers are starting to feel that if you want to install something, you need to have a network cable there. So this is creating a lot of stress on the communication systems. That basically anything that you connect will need a network cable. It's practical in some cases, but in some other cases, it's not so practical because customers need to administer a lot of network ports. So in this case, you can also connect those readers considered as master readers. They can get connected to this controller using RS485. So you can connect more readers with less network cables. Okay, so this is very important. And the readers, if they are readers that has specific functions as master readers, they will keep most of their functions. For the customer, it's going to be the same functionality if they are connected straight to the network or if they are connected beneath a controller. So this is very important. This will give you a lot of flexibility when you're designing an access control and biometric system, and that will help you out to reduce costs and also to implement faster. Okay, good. So in the recent versions of the firmware of our access controller, we created something which is basically a way to connect. Well, actually, this controller has an interface. Yes, when you connect to this controller and you power it up, there is a way to connect to this controller, a web interface that will help you configure this controller very easily. There is the setup manager. You don't need to have the BioStar software for the basic configuration of this controller. You can configure easily network settings. You can connect after connecting all the devices that goes beneath this controller, the person that is installing without using or having to have the software on the laptop, it's able to check that all the parts are working. The readers beneath them are online. All the sensors that goes connected to this controller are working. This way, this technical person will leave the controller ready for the let's say the engineer that will configure this remotely. Just in that case, you don't have to have an engineer and a technician installing a controller, but the technician install the controller, test it, and afterwards the certified engineer will be able to add this controller to the software. Okay, so this is very important. We already have also a way to sell this access controller in a package of 4 doors, meaning that you can get a controller and 4 readers, SUPREMA readers, at a reduced price. So if you want to install this 4-door controller, right, and with 4 readers, it's good. We have 4 part numbers with the different type of reader that we have, 3 RFID readers and 1 biometric reader, which is the R2. So if you want to get this with your, with EPCOM, it's cheaper than getting this access control by separate. Okay, this is important to consider. Okay, this is a centralized access control system and biometrics. Now we'll discuss about BioStar 2. Okay, so as we discussed, we already learned about all the hardware that we have, but what about the software? We already discussed that there is a platform called BioStar that is in charge of centralizing all the hardware that we just saw. Okay, so BioStar 2 has a very interesting platform. Actually, it's a web-based open biometric security platform. Okay, and the idea of this platform is to give you the convenience of having in one platform an access control system, a time and attendance system, mobile applications, so you can monitor and also operate your system from remote connections from your cell phone. Okay, including the enrolling of the users, right? Also, it's an open platform. We have SDKs and APIs. So if your customer need to connect their own platforms, their own software that they use for administering their security, or in some cases their production, you can connect these softwares to BioStar in a very easy platform in order to to create open systems. Okay, so Regarding the access control features that we have there, we have a lot of powerful features. For instance, on the passback interlock, the controller, actually, if you are using an access controller, a core station, you're able to create interlock into up to 4 doors without having to have special hardware connections, right? We also have a muster point, which is basically muster and tracking. We're able to, if you create something that we call a secure area, you will be able to track who is there. And in case of an emergency, you can create an escape route and install a reader in the secure area. So the persons that already went out of this non-secure area can check in this reader, so you know where are located under an emergency these persons in your system. We also have instructional alarm, meaning that you can use the readers that we have, those readers with screen, with LCD and keypad, can be used as readers to arm and disarm areas, of course, using all the inputs that we have and the input hardware that we have. Also, there is a function that we have that is the fire alarm door. So if you connect a fire panel, every fire panel has a relay so you can connect with a cable to any of the inputs that we have from any of our hardware, and you can create a function that if you receive this fire alert, you can open the doors that you consider as the doors to create an escape route. And using this along with the muster and tracking, you'll be able to have a very secure system. Okay. We also have now a module of visitor management, so this is very important too, based in biometrics. Okay. Regarding the video integration, we have a way to integrate DAWA and Hikvision recorders. Also, the ACTI recorders, they need to be NVRs, of course. Okay. So you are able to see the cameras of these recorders in BioStar, and also you can relate these cameras to a reader. So in that case, you have additional evidence. You can open recorded video of the hour of the specific hour of the access or the event that happened in that specific reader. So you have additional evidence of what happened during that event. And also, there is an integration with Milestone. Milestone has integrated their software with BioStar, so they are able to pull information from our access control biometric system, so they can show these specific events and alerts on their monitoring system. Okay, so this is very important. Giving or adding video to access system will give you a lot of information. We also have the way to encode smart cards. When you encode a smart card, it's very important because you'll be able to store. Actually, you can do an access control and biometric system using a smart card, so you don't have if this is an option, of course, if you don't have to have a reader with the fingerprints on it. Okay, so you can encode smart cards. We also have an integration with the Active Directory from Windows. So if you have an Active Directory server and you're using this Active Directory to administer your users, you'll be able to connect BioStar with the Active Directory server, import users, and relate your AD users or user groups with the user group from BioStar, which actually will ease up the way you administer your access control, because basically most of the permissions and they'll be able to be performed from the server itself. So this is very important for network administrators that are also in charge of the security systems. This will ease up a lot of the administration of the AC system. Okay, we also have a very strong platform of TNA, time and attendance. One of the main things that we have, like floating shifts. Let's say that you have a group of persons that doesn't have are changing all the time the shifts. So if you create this type of floating shift schema, you don't have to change the hour of the shift that this user is getting to, because we will allow a check-in time. Okay, so if the user arrives at a specific hour, using these ranges of hours, the shift will be automatically, added to this user, and you won't have to justify an absence after. Okay. We also keep track of the overtime or the work hours. So based on your rules, or maybe the rules that your government is, trying to enforce regarding maximum and regular and after hours that you can work. Okay, you can receive alert if somebody is working more than it should. This is very important also. So regarding integration tools, we have device SDK, so other applications can talk to our readers. You don't need a BioStar server if you use this model. Just this software manufacturer can use the SDK to use a reader for their own purposes. We also can connect through the API any application BioStar 2. So maybe we have examples where we have connected SAP, like for instance, our integrators have connected SAP BioStar to create functions beyond security. Maybe they can also integrate our hardware for production purposes. For instance, for to start up a machine, to control the flux of trucks inside an area based on an administrative process, etc. And we also have some readers that are based on Android. And these readers are used for the customer to install their own applications in this Android reader. So, for instance, you can do personal, you can move personals between facilities or maybe stores without having to have a computer, just using the reader. So you can, do the check-in, the check-out of the employees and move employees between stores or facilities without having to have a computer. So we have also an SDK that is based on Android. We call this SVP, and this is very important for this type of applications. We also have, let's say, for instance, we have a function that we call it the cloud. So if you enable this feature, you'll be able to remotely log into your BioStar system. And since our BioStar system is based in a web browser, you'll be able to work remotely if you want to. And if you allow all the configurations that we need, you'll be able to remotely log into your BioStar system and work from other parts of the world if needed. We also use this feature to connect our BioStar 2 mobile software, which will actually, it's a software that you can use with your cell phone to have a real-time monitoring. You can control the doors remotely. You can receive also live notifications on your cell phone of specific events that you want to monitor, which is very important that in these days, if you're not in your company or in your office for instance, now, customer will be able to receive specific alerts anytime, anywhere. This is very important. Also, this platform will help you to enroll users using a BioMini Plus 2 reader and also connect it to an OTG cable to your Android phone. And, if you see this video, you'll be able to see that this process will allow you to enroll using a cell phone. If you need to enroll persons that are offsite, maybe are in areas where you don't have maybe in a mine where you just get the cell phone signal, or etc., right? Or maybe in a production plant where it's very expensive for you to take out an employee out of the line just to get enrolled, so you can get there with this cell phone. In a couple of seconds, you'll be able to take their fingerprints and send these fingerprints to the server and do a very fast enrollment of users. Also, BioStar 2 has a visitor module. So with this module, it's very interesting because it has two parts. The first part, it's a self-enlistment kiosk. Okay, from version 2.77 and above, you'll be able to install a computer. Maybe you can use a computer that has a touch screen. You can also get a Windows-based, maybe kiosk, and connect a reader that is connected to the network. It has to be a TCP/IP-based reader, as the ones that we saw before. And you can do a way for a self-enrollment of our users. So this kiosk will ask the user for basic information, name, phone number, who's visiting. You can create up to 10 additional fields, and also will take your fingerprints automatically. So when this user is auto-enrolled, this user will be able to, you know, get to the lobby and just wait for the authorization. Okay, so the person in the front desk is gonna detect that there's a user waiting in the lobby to be, you know, authorized. This person will be able to talk to the host and, you know, request the authorization for getting. And with this type of systems, you don't need to give a card to the user. So you don't need to retain their ID, because at this moment is in most countries it's not allowed to retain an ID. So you can just ask the user for the ID for identification. And once that you already have authorization from the host, the front desk administrator will be able to leave, you know, to allow entrance to this user. Okay, so something interesting about this visitor management system is that you are able to create multiple sites. This is important, and inside you can connect unlimited amount of computers and or kiosks. Okay, and you have options when you're using this kiosk. You can first of all, the first time that the visitor comes, it has to, you know, pass through the initial first visit process, but afterwards can use the name and the phone number that registered the first time, or also can use a search from the biometric fingerprint that was used in the previous visit. So with this type of auto detection, the system will be able to detect which user is trying to get in and will do the enrollment process faster for the upcoming sessions. Okay. This is how it, you know, this is a very simple screen. This is how the sensor is asking for your fingerprint. Okay. And this is the module of front desk. It has all the control from those users that are there waiting in the lobby to be authorized, those that are already checked in, those that already checked out, the total amount of users, and this is very important, if there are users that already that overstayed. Okay? If the user was there for 4 hours and maybe it's been there for 5, the system will tell you who's there for the longer that was expected. So this is very important in visitor modules. Okay. Now, discussing about the mobile credential, this is very important. This technology is something that is happening, that is starting to be used more and more. And let's discover why. SUPREMA has a way to use our mobile phones to have a simpler way of having access. Okay. And this is something that is a trend, as you can see here. Well, you see how the credential has been evolving from a password, then the key. The key lasted for basically 200 years. And then afterwards, we started to get access credentials, right? And now, actually, we're in the way that we use biometrics for many of our access systems. And one of the trends is start using your phone. And why? Because, first of all, the phone, we call it the biometric of things. Basically, the phone is with you most of the time. Okay, we try not to lose our phone. We don't share our mobile phone because it's something very personal at this moment. Okay, so knowing this, you are able to have the same amount of security that a high security card will give you without having to have a card. Okay, you just need to remember to have your phone, so you don't forget about your access card, and this is very important. And also, what is happening in the mobile credential market? Last year, the year that just ended, 2019, 90% of the access was made using access cards, physical access cards. The rest of the 10% of the access has been made through biometrics or a little bit by mobile cards. Okay, so what is going to happen in 5 years? In 5 years, this will change dramatically, because the 90% will drop until 65%, because that share is going to be taken by the mobile credential. Okay, so the mobile credential is going to increase, the physical credential will decrease, and the biometrics will remain the same. We'll have a but we'll have a stable growth. So if we consider this is very important, to start using this technology, because if your business is based in selling cards, well, you need to take care of this, because you don't want to lose 25% of your business, right? So this is, first of all, the first thing that we need to consider. Also, it's important to know that one of the trends that we will get is that people will sign up, will pay, and also will enter using their mobile. This is happening, this will happen, and eventually this will be the standard. So it's very important to start knowing what to do, to start looking for the business model that will help you get into this trend. Okay. Also, regarding workforce mobility, we all know now that the workforce mobility is changing, and actually we are in the beginning of a new trend that that started some time ago, but I think in this situation that we're living, this is gonna get accelerated. The workforce mobility means that you don't have to work necessarily on a factory or in an office. The idea is that you don't need an office to work, and this is something that we all are doing actually as we speak. So if we if we think about this, we won't have or it won't be the standard to have designated seats and places to work. Okay, so that is good in some point, but in some sense, but also will give us some challenges that we need to overcome. Okay, so let's say that if you want to have you have many offices, or maybe if you have a co-working site, or there are many facilities that the people need to get through. Well, maybe you have different access control system of each of these offices or facilities. What should we do? Well, let's say that instead of changing or using a single access control system, which is gonna be a complicated migration, is gonna cost a lot. What if you just change the readers, right? And instead of changing the back office software, just change the reader and you change to use mobile phones for access control. This is interesting because this is how this works. Let's say that you have, actually our mobile credential works based in a web server. Okay, so the issue of the credentials, it's made in a web server. It's not in an access server. We can see here that we can use BioStar server to generate a mobile credential, but it's not necessarily. It's really, I mean, you can do it many ways, using BioStar or using a web page. So this will give you more flexibility. Maybe there is another platform here of access control, right? That is not a BioStar. But at the end, you just change the reader using a SUPREMA reader. And what happens? You'll send the mobile credential to your user. The user will receive this mobile credential on its phone, and he will activate and receive this mobile credential on the phone. Okay, and afterwards, what will happen? Also, the readers that will be using these mobile credential cards, right? They will receive the same security that this phone has. So this way, we are sure that one mobile credential won't work with another customer. This is very important, actually, and SUPREMA made a lot of effort to do this as a secure process. And actually, this process is already certified as ISO 27001, right? It's already certified to be a secure platform, and this is very important, okay? And also, we are having, actually, at the moment, we have call it the regular licensing model that we use at this moment. You need to pay 1 credit per 1 card that is emitted. So if you want to use at this moment, and it will change very soon, you need to use 1 license or 1 credit per phone, right? And what you can do is issue a new card. It will consume 1 credit, and if you want to reissue, right, the card, because maybe the user changed their phone, maybe the user lost the phone and just resetted the phone for some reason, you just need to emit a reissue credit, which is basically costs the half. So you don't have to pay, yearly. Once you emit one or issue one card, you don't have to issue it again or pay monthly or yearly fees. Only if the user changes the phone or something happened with the phone, you can reissue it, but it will cost less than than the first time. So in a few weeks, maybe actually in less than a month, we will release the new licensing model, which is going to be one credit, one device. Okay, we call this the dynamic. And what is the difference between these two? Actually, in both you can issue new cards, reissue the cards, but then with this module, we'll be able to delete, pause, and create valid dates. What is different between these two? Well, for instance, the regular is going to be good for this in the situations such as fixed employees that works there all the time, right? But the dynamic is going to help us in other type of situations. For instance, if you want to use this in like, for instance, right, if you have mobile employees, co-workings, Airbnbs, because actually you'll be able to take your credit back once the phone is liberated, right? If the user doesn't want to go to the gym anymore, don't worry, you'll be able to disable this card. And once you disable this card, you'll be able to use this card to another user. So we have this different way of licensing, and it will depend on the needs of the user that you're having. So with this, we're facilitating the mobile credential in terms of licensing. Okay, and also with this new system, we'll be able to issue multiple cards to one user. Let's say, for instance, that one user works for 2 customers, and those 2 customers have SUPREMA mobile credential. Well, with this module, you'll be able to get several cards in your phone without having to, to delete the previous one. This is very important because this new way of employee mobility will also create this type of situations where you have 2 or more bosses, right? So this is important. Also, you'll be able to create custom cards. Of course, cards need to look differently because one customer, if an employee has several cards, well, it will need to differentiate one from another. And this new mobile credential system will be able to give you the choice to custom your card. This is very important. Okay. Here's a video of how this works. Okay.
Excuse me, Isaias.
Yes.
We are running out of time. We have about 5 minutes left, I think so.
Yes, well, actually, this is the last part of the presentation, right? And just shows how the mobile credential can be sent. Okay, it's very easy. You can send this to your user using their email. Okay. And once this credential is created, okay, user will receive this as an email. It will start the process of activating this card, and until the activation is made, the credit will be consumed, and afterwards the card will be active. Okay, it's very easy, it's very secure. Okay, and you can start, actually, if you want to try this out, you can do it now. If you get into this page, mc.suprema.io, you can get started. You can get there, get your user, your password. Once you pass all the authentication process, you'll be able to get 5 free mobile credentials. So you can start working with these credentials and you'll learn about the system. Just, to see the process. This is very important. We need to get used to this new type of technology. So you have 5 free cards. You can do it now. Okay. So just to finish, features that you can use with some SUPREMA readers are able to help you printing without having to have a computer there. You can print the ticketing, right? just to, in some situations, such as in in places that you need to when there is a way places to eat, you can generate a ticket. So this ticket can be safe for the company that administer this employee, let's say, lunch area. Okay. Also, the solution is some readers are able to read QRs, right? So this is important. There is a special firmware that you can use in some cases, and in some projects you need to read QRs. So of course you need to do a lot of things in this situation, but it's able, or readers are able to read, and basically those readers that has a camera on it. Okay, this is very important. Also, we have another a new hardware that is, we call it Novus, which this is a time and attendance station, which is based in Android, and will help you and your customers to give you the option to install your own applications based in Android for time and attendance, for management, for HR administration, right? Using this actually this hardware has many options. You can install many options such as Wi-Fi, battery, GPS, 4G cellular modem, WLAN interface, etc. So it's completely custom. Okay, so this is very important. And soon we're getting, very soon actually, the world's first RF Bla converter. Okay, let's say that you have a reader that doesn't have support for Bluetooth, and you want to do mobile credentials. So what about if you get this AirFob interface? Actually, it will be very easy to install. You just stick it to the reader. Okay, you don't need a battery because it will harvest the energy from the same reader. So when you do this, actually you're installing a BLE to RF converter. So any reader will be able to be converted to a Bluetooth reader. So this will come soon. We'll be giving you additional sessions for this type of things, and it's important to consider. Okay, this is one of the newest things that we have, and well, this is basically the last information that I wanted to show to you. If you have any question, please. We're open to questions. I'm not sure if we have questions already there.
Actually, we have 2 questions, Isaias. If you can help us, please.
Okay. Yes, let's see. Okay. Let me see. I'm trying to. Okay.
The first question is, can your time and attendance handle a 24-hour shift? If you can see the questions.
Yes, actually, I'm trying to pull those questions from the system, but yes, actually.
Let me try to answer that.
Yeah. Yes, we can do that. Actually, our chips can be. We have many type of chips. Can be 24-hour shifts. We can also have. We have many models of chips. For instance, we can have a chip that can. We call this type of shifts that are, for instance, multi-day shifts. For instance, if you're changing your shifts, like for instance, working 3 days. Rest 1 day, and afterwards, the next 3 days, you will have a different shift. You can do that. We call it rotative shifts. This is something we can manage, and we can have up to 90 days rotative shifts. Okay, so this is very important. Yes, so we can handle many type of shifts. Okay, let's see what other questions are there. Okay, so I think for those Spanish speakers, yes, we can do we will have a further Spanish version of this presentation. So please, you'll receive notification once this is ready. Any other question that you have? Okay, so well, thank you very much. Not sure if you want to add something, Victor, guys from EPCOM.
There is another question. It says, how much formats can the readers accept? And can the readers accept Bluetooth on cards? And the answer is we are able to handle pretty much all the formats that are in the market these days. As for the readers, okay, for the cards. And the card reader can read Bluetooth, yes, of course. Bluetooth Low Energy and NFC, okay.
Yes. Thank you, Lowry.
Well, I think this is all. Thank you very much, Isaias, for sharing this interesting webinar with us. Thank you all for your time and registration. We will be in contact with you and sending you the presentation and attentive to any questions you may have. Thank you, Isaias. And thank you, Lowry.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and hopefully it was useful for you. And please stay safe and healthy.